If you want to understand jazz chord theory, you have to be able to analyze chord progressions. So in this video, we're going to break down the music theory behind one of my favorite jazz standards, and we're going to reharmonize the hell out of it along the way. See if you can figure out what song this is from the first few chords. We start with an F major 7, which is the 1 chord since we're in the key of F. Easy. But just one bar later, things get a little crazy when we throw down a C minor 7. Why does that C minor 7 sound so good? Well, it's because it's unexpected. C minor 7 doesn't belong in the key of F. It has an E flat as the 3rd, and E flat is not in the F major scale. In music, unexpected is interesting. But there's a caveat. If you go too far out into left field, you'll cross over from super hip to just weird. You see, C minor 7 is not that out of place in the key of F, it's just one note, E flat, that stands apart. Also, C minor 7 is not thrown in there just to be different, it actually serves a very specific purpose. And to figure that out, we need to jump ahead a couple chords and work backwards. By the way, any guesses yet on what song this is? I promise I'll tell you right after we knock out these next 2 chords. So let's pop over to measure 3, where we land on B flat major 7. That's the 4 in the key of F. Now that C minor 7 is starting to make a bit more sense. It belongs to the key of B flat major. It's the 2 chord. And if you've been studying jazz theory for even a little bit, you can probably guess what chord comes after the 2. That's right, the 5, which in the key of B flat is F7. So we've got the 1, F major 7, and then a 2-5 going to the 4, which again is B flat major 7. And just to be clear, when I say 2-5, I'm talking in the key of B flat, not F. Alright, if you haven't figured out what song this is, here's the big reveal. It's been recorded by everyone, including Glenn Miller, Ella Fitzgerald, Oscar Peterson, Willie Nelson, Frank Sinatra, James Taylor, Norah Jones, even Seal. It's called The Nearness of You and was written in 1938 by Hoagy Carmichael with lyrics by Ned Washington. Alright, I'm gonna play and sing through what we've covered thus far. Believe me, I'd love to play you Seal's recording, but the YouTube copyright struggle is real, so you're gonna have to put up with me crooning away here.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills.
Okay, from there, we're going to turn that 4 chord into a 4 diminished 7 chord, aka B flat diminished 7. It's kind of like that 4 major to 4 minor sound you've heard a million times. But what's hip about the 4 diminished 7th chord is that it functions as a chromatic descending diminished chord resolving to the 3 minor 7 below. Now I know that's a mouthful, but the main takeaway is that diminished chords can resolve down a half step, even though it's not exactly functional harmony. The reason it works though is because B flat diminished 7 and A minor 7 share multiple common tones. But let's get back to the changes. The next sequence of chords is the classic 3-6-2-5-1 progression. We're basically working our way around the circle of fifths in the key of F until we end up back at 1. Now, I do want to point out that that 6th chord, that D7 there, is technically the 5 of 2. It's a secondary dominant. But again, this progression is so common that most jazz musicians just call it a 3-6-2-5-1. But wait, we're not actually going back to the 1 just yet. Instead, we go to the 3, which is a common substitute for the 1. Again, check out all those common tones. Here's F major 7, and here's A minor 7. Lucky for you, there aren't any more curveballs in this A section. We're just gonna rock that 3-6-2-5 once more to get us back to 1, for real this time. Here's the first A section in its entirety.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you.
So let's mix things up a bit in this next A section. We start with the F major 7 again, but instead of going to the 4 chord via a 2-5 like we did last time, we're going to do a tritone sub with some alternate notes in the bass. I'll show you the chords and voicings first, and then do the analysis. We've got a C minor 11 over G and a B7 sharp 11 over F sharp, resolving to B flat major 7 over F. Now, if we simplify that sequence by taking out all the alternate bass notes and extensions, we're left with C minor 7, B7, B flat major 7. The C minor 7 is the 2 chord, just like we had in the first A section, and the B7 is that tritone substitution for the F7. And for all the newbies watching, a tritone equals 3 whole steps. Also, check out how that F7 and B7 share 2 common tones as well. Now, that C minor 7, B7, B flat major 7 progression sounds good as is, but by putting the 5th in the bass on each of those chords and adding some sexy extensions, we get a more interesting, more modern sound. All right, let's keep going. We'll keep our B flat diminished 7 chord from the first A section, but I'm going to add a major 7 in there for some extra color. And then instead of going to A minor 7, I'm going to raise the 5th by a half step from E to F, and that gives us an F add 9 over A, which is one of my favorite chords. Next up, we've got a D7. Let's do another tritone sub on this one. So what's a tritone away from D? A flat. So we've got F add 9 over A to A flat, which resolves down to the 2 chord, G minor 7. And I'm going to add a couple of extensions to that sequence as well. Let's make that A flat 7 and A flat 9, and instead of G minor 7, let's do G minor 11. Now we can keep that C on top for all 3 chords. We'll finish out with the 5 chord, C7 flat 9, resolving back to the 1, F major, with a little gospel fill thrown in there just for fun. Here's the whole second A section with all the reharms.
It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you.
All right, let's take it to the bridge. The original progression is pretty basic. It's just a 2, 5, 1, and F. That's G minor 7 to C7 to F major 7. But we can add a subtle variation there by putting the C underneath the G minor 7, which gives it a C sus kind of sound. And then instead of resolving to a regular C7, we can keep that sus thing going there and add a flat 9, which leads beautifully to the F major 7. Altogether, it sounds like this.
When you're in my arms and I feel you so close.
Then we're going to head back over to the 4 chord, and we'll get there with the 2-5, just like we did in the first A section. And we can spice up those chords with a little more tritone sub action on the 5 chord. F7 becomes B7. It sounds like this. Cool. Finishing out the bridge, we've got a 3-6-2 like we saw in the A section, except this time the 2 chord isn't minor, it's a dominant 7 chord. So we've got A minor 7, D7, G7. Then the G7 goes minor, which kicks off a basic 2-5-1, leading us right into the last A section. But before we finish out, here's the bridge all the way through.
When you're in my arms and I feel you so close to me, all my wildest dreams come true.
All right, people, we are almost at the end here, so let's go insanity mode on the reharm.
I need no soft lights to enchant me if you.
Now, this chop is just a whole bunch of crazy held together by a descending half-step bass line, which I call a waterfall bass. It's one of my favorite tricks of the trade and works so well because of the inherently smooth voice leading in the bottom voice. Here it is nice and slow. But check this out. At the end of the sequence, that half-step pattern breaks and we go from B to F to B flat, which begs the question,
why did I do that?
Well, I feel like that simple F7 to B flat major 7 chord change helps balance out all that harmonic chaos we just heard. So in the previous A sections, we turned that B flat major 7 into a B flat diminished 7. But this time, we're going to set up that A minor 7 with a regular old minor 2-5, which sounds like this. B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor 7. From there, we'll make some subtle adjustments. I'm going to add an F into that A minor 7 chord, which makes it an F major 9 over A. And instead of going to D7 next, let's do B flat add 9 over D, and then E flat add 9 over G. I told you it was my favorite chord. And again, all I'm doing is taking the regular minor 7 chord and raising the 5th up a half step. Here's what we have so far in the last A section.
I need no soft light to enchant me if you'd only grant me the right.
Okay, we've got 9 more chords left. Here's a G sharp diminished 7, which sets up the A minor 7 in the next measure. Side note, if you take a look at the A harmonic minor scale, you'll see the 7 chord is in fact G sharp diminished 7. Now, some folks will play an A minor 7 flat 5 chord here, but I'm going to keep it a regular A minor 7 and reserve that E flat for the next chord, which is going to be D7 sharp 11 with a flat 9. I love the voice leading between those two chords. All right, last but not least, instead of just 2-5-1ing our way home, let's do a walk-up. G minor 7, that's the 2, F over A, that's the 1 with the 3rd in the bass, B flat major, that's the 4 chord, and then for the C7, which is the 5, let's jazz it up with a 13 and a flat 9. And that'll lead us right back to the 1, F major, and I'll throw in another gospel-y fill at the end there to put a bow on it. Okay, here's the last A section all together.
I need no soft lights to enchant me, if you'd only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight, and to feel in the night just the nearness of you.
All right, guys, if you want those chord scale charts I used throughout the video, you can download them for free at the link below. And if you really want to get a handle on all this chord theory and start playing way more interesting chords on the keys, I highly recommend checking out my course, Chord Theory for R&B Piano. It's over 14 hours of content in which I break down step by step exactly how to get that silky, soulful sound every time you sit down at the piano. I actually got an email recently from a student in the course who wrote, "I particularly like the way Jeff breaks everything down into the smallest piece and builds from there. It facilitates learning from the most basic to the complex. I have come away with a deeper understanding about how to approach reharmonization. I'm already using this knowledge on new arrangements I'm working on. If someone wants to learn chord theory from the basics to the complex, this is one of the best online courses I've ever taken." So listen, if you're tired of playing the same old chords and progressions, click the link on the screen or in the link below to learn more about chord theory for R&B piano. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.